Okay, can everybody hear me today? Hello. Let's see, we have a few people in here. Can y'all hear what I'm saying? Can you hear me? Let me switch to a different microphone. Okay, so y'all can hear me. Perfect. Perfect, awesome. Okie dokie, so how's everybody doing this fine Tuesday? Hi, Marla. So you're from Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to use the microphone that's built into the webcam, so I'm seeing how that works compared to our normal headphones. Let's see, we've got New York and Atlanta and California. Yes, it's been a very busy day. It's been, well, it's a Tuesday. It's just kind of one of those weird days. I'm not sure how it is for everybody else, but for me, it's been just one of those odd kind of days. So in Georgia, we got Canada and Australia. So it's 9 a.m. Wednesday morning in Sydney, Australia. That's always good to know. Tennessee, let's see, Georgia, Dallas, Pensacola. I lived in Pensacola for a while when my husband was stationed there in the Navy. Houston's close to my heart because it's close to me. We've got Canada. Awesome. So let's see. Norway. You want to see more of my kids? Well, sometimes they are comfortable with the camera, but sometimes they're not. If you look at like my Disney World vlogs that are on my second channel, there are some videos of them. My husband, again, not so comfortable with the camera as much, but they're getting a little bit better with it. Montgomery, Alabama. Daytona Beach. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous beach. But yeah, I mean, my kids, Cameron, you've seen a lot of. It's hard for him to video with me whenever it's during the school day. He does a lot more whenever it is summer. So once summer hits, so not too far off, they just got their progress reports today. So he's got about 8 weeks or so left in the school year. And then Caden was telling me that today as well, that he's, 2 more weeks and it's their last 6 weeks and then he's going to be a senior. That is crazy to me. So someone from Port Neches, you're right next door to us. I'd like to know more about making decals for cars using the maker. We are going to do some more decal tutorials. We have a lot of tutorials in the works. You're having a hard time layering HTV. What are you having problems with? Typically, whenever you're doing HTV, Dawn. Okay, so you work at my bank. Hi, Dawn. Dawn works at my credit union. That's where we bank for our business checking account. Let's see. So layering HTV. Okay, so with layering HTV, if you've watched me do tutorials in the past, you realize that whenever I'm doing one color, I always try to stick with 5 to 7 seconds for the first initial press. And then each press after that, depending on how many colors, because HTV will stretch and change shape. That's why a lot of times whenever I am doing a layered design, I make the background solid so that way I have a little bit more wiggle room to work with. We are going to be doing some flock vinyl. We are probably going to do a tutorial. We're going to start carrying Deco Soft in store and online. We've gotten the white in so far, so I think tomorrow I'm going to do a tutorial on that, which if you've never played with the Deco Soft, it is absolutely amazing. It feels more like screen print ink. It almost melts into the shirt. Let's see, pressing 2X shirts for the first time. Press a 2X just like you would any other size. You don't treat bigger shirts or smaller shirts any different than what you would a normal size. Typically, when we're messing with HTV, if you're making a design, yes, we are filling our money box. Thank you for that gift, by the way. As you can see, it's sitting right back there in the background. So anyways, but whenever you are, I don't even remember what I was saying. But yeah, the Deco Soft is extremely soft. 2X is, oh, that's what I was talking about. See? Scatterbrain today. With the 2X shirts, whenever you're doing screen print, which is the background I started in initially, well, actually, we made some HTV shirts many, many years ago. But for your screen print designs, 10.5 is the standard size for an adult size shirt. So 10.5 inches wide, which is about like this. So you want to keep that the same all the way across the board from an adult small all the way up through 2X, 3X, 4X shirt, unless someone's paying for extra. You want the design to stay the same. Like if you noticed when we did our family Disney shirts, my youth larges were the same size as my adult larges. It's consistency. And you have to look at it along the lines of people aren't going to sit there whenever it comes from screen print. For screen printing, when you set up a screen for each color, people don't want to pay for an extra screen to make it larger on a big size. So that is the standard size across the board. Deco Soft is made by Specialty Materials, so we get everything direct from the manufacturer. Okay, so printable HTV, we have some in stock on our website, and I'm going to do the tutorial over that one very soon. Yes, I do use 10.5 inch for adult size tank tops as well. Pretty much anything that's got your normal size front to your shirt, you're going to stick with the same 10.5 inch design. 9.5 for kids, typically all the way down to youth small. Extra small and smaller, typically 8.5, sometimes 7.5 once you're getting into infant sizes, and 6.5 is typically the smallest you're going to want to go for a newborn. Let's see, I did a t-shirt for my grandson. I had the iron on the Teflon over the HTV, moved the iron, one letter smudged. What setting did you have your iron on? Typically height can depend because you can go all the way up to 12 inches. It just depends on the size of the design. Okay, so as far as I know, the only size printable HTV that they have, and it's not really HTV, it's a printable iron-on transfer that is made for using in your home inkjet printer, are 8.5 by 11. They do make different types of printers, but most people aren't going to want to spend the money for printable to actually print like your Caesar brand printable or your Thermoflex brand printable, because the eco solvents and the latex printers are extremely expensive. The cheapest one's about $10,000. That is what I use for our designs that we sell, and they have a much better washability. I have not found any printable HTV yet for the laser. We have a special laser printer that has a paper that you use with it, but it has a backing that you add on to the back, because typically laser printers have a heating element in it. That's how you get the toner to cure. So if you ran a sheet through that is supposed to be heat pressed, it would typically mess it up. I have not found a thinner one, but I just got sent some samples of the Glitter Flex Ultra 2 by Specialty Materials that is actually supposed to be a layerable glitter that I'm fixing to start testing out. So we'll see how that goes. 330 is typical for what you're wanting to set your heat press to. When you use the printable, yes, they do take up a lot of space, and there's really not a way around it because for your home cutters, that's what it's got to read to be able to tell where the cut lines are. And yes, we can do a unicorn face with different colors, but it's along the same lines as whenever we're doing anything else that's multicolor. But we are getting into some more in-depth tutorials. We are going to use some of the features in the Brother Scan and Cut. Yes, we do sell a ton of different colors. That's a big reason why I like the specialty materials, their Glitter Flex Ultra. There's so many more colors in that than in the Caesar glitter. Yes, I can do a Paw Patrol one. My nephew loves Paw Patrol, so I can definitely do a Paw Patrol design. Lion King Aladdin, we do have a lot of shirts planned. We are getting through them slowly but surely, but as you know, that there are so many Disney characters, so there's a lot. What other kind of tutorials would you like to see on slicing in Cricut? I mean, it's kind of the same feature over and over. And once you know how to use it, what Corel software do I recommend for beginners? Corel Draw. I think it's like, I don't even remember what number they're on. Yes, I do make my own SVGs. I use Corel Draw as my art program, but I also have an artist that works for me, and she uses Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop most of the time. So it kind of just depends on what you're trained in. Adobe is rather expensive compared to Corel. Corel, you can buy the home and student version at Office Depot for about 120 bucks. Adobe is cloud-based, and it is, I think, like $600 a year. I do not know anything about the silhouette portrait. Now, I'm not sure if it even uses the same silhouette studio that the silhouette Cameo does. But in the silhouette software, it is subtract and not slicing. So in different programs, they're going to be called different things. How to use slicing feature new to designing. I have a video on how to use slice in Cricut. If you go to my YouTube page and there's a search bar by my videos, and you can type in slice and it should pull up that. Yeah, sometimes you kind of have to do undo. And once you get used to using it, for me, I started off, with using Corel Draw, and I had a Roland GX 24-inch cutter, which is a 24-inch versus the 12-inch silhouettes, and I still have that machine actually. So as I've added new machines, I have added more features, and I start, you remember the different things for different programs. And I am doing more videos on the silhouette, but the main videos, whenever I'm doing anything that's just kind of a basic tutorial, either importing in an SVG or trying out a new material, or if it's more to do with installing the vinyl, then we use the Cricut. But I do have actually, if you go and look, there are several tutorials for the silhouettes program. And is there a book that can help you learn Cricut Explore 1? I'm not sure, but the thing is, whenever you're looking at the Cricut programs, you can take all of the features, everything that I'm doing is the same versus the Cricut Maker versus the Explore Air. It's just turning the knob for your pressure versus setting it up in the computer. And a lot of my older tutorials are using the Explore Air 2, which again is the same premise. HTV on mugs can be extremely tricky depending on what you're using to heat it on with. Heating HTV on other objects besides shirts, a lot of it is trial and error and play with it. Inkscape is free for designing SVGs. It works great, but the problem with Inkscape is it's an open source program, and if someone goes in and changes the code, it can totally mess everything up. I have not cut balsa wood yet with my Cricut Maker. See, there's a book of Tanner Bell. I'm not exactly sure who he is. And honestly, guys, to be quite frank, what I watch on YouTube is probably not the same things that y'all watch on YouTube. I honestly don't get on YouTube to watch anybody else craft. I do that all day at work. I mean, this is my job, and don't get me wrong, I love it, but that's not where I spend my free time. If I'm on YouTube typically to watch something for fun or something that I'm wanting to learn, it's either about I've been trying to learn more about doing my hair, which is sounds kind of crazy. I mean, goodness, I'm 36, almost 36 years old, and just now learning how to use hot rollers on a curling iron, which my injury is looking better, but it was kind of difficult. Yes, and we are doing more and more tutorials with the Brother Scan and Cut. Brother Scan and Cut, I am still learning. It's so far, it is not my favorite machine. And someone asked me earlier what my favorite machine is. My favorite machine is the Cricut. I mean, I think it's the simplest to use. And if you're not wanting to get into hardcore designing, I mean, pretty much does everything, and it does everything well. The issues that I have with Cricut, my biggest issues with Cricut are the internet-based program. I really wish it had a downloadable program that you could use in case your internet ever goes down, or if you want to go craft and you're out camping. I mean, some people do that. Yes, books do become outdated, but like certain things is I have a old Corel Draw book. I keep it handy because even though the features have been updated in later versions of Corel, I can kind of go back and reference if I've forgotten what something's called because I don't use it every single day. I do have some videos over how to design like monograms and things like that, but part of designing an SVG, and I mean, I can teach you the basics of it, but part of it is artistic eye and knowing what looks good together, that type of thing, playing with colors. And part of that is just, you know, you're either artistic or you're not. Brother Scan and Cut is the brother version of the Cricut or the Silhouette. Yes, see, I wish Cricut was offline. That is my biggest issue. Biggest issue. Because Brother and Silhouette both have downloadable softwares that you can use without internet. Sometimes they will re-release a expired bundle, but I have no control over that. They give me a lot of those SVGs and things like that to try, and part of the reason why I promote them to y'all is because they have some super cute stuff in there, and if I can take and pay 20 bucks and get that many SVGs, and I will take a lot of times, kind of like I did with the Cricut shirt that I designed for St. Patrick's Day. I will pull different design elements. No, it's a type of cutter. But I will take and use different design elements to kind of make my own, which makes it a little bit easier, or at least in my opinion. Part of one of the things we own a whole lot of is art books and art, like Action Illustrated and things like that, but those are extremely pricey. But they're all royalty-free design elements that you can take and bring in and kind of change to make your own. Because when you're doing a lot of design work, which for the type of shop that we have, we do custom iron-on. We also do SVGs that we sell, but we also do custom design work for businesses and things like that. We do logo design and all that. So having those extra elements to kind of save time, it makes it a little bit easier. Yes, see, you can take it. I mean, and you don't have to have, and that's not what I'm saying. I don't want it to sound like it is all about artistic. No, you can kind of, I search Pinterest a lot. I love Pinterest, and there are so many things that, as far as crafting, that I want to learn how to do, but I can't. Such as sewing and crochet and knitting, and I have all this stuff to do it, but Lord knows I can't cut a straight line, to tell you the truth. That's why I use the machine. But I love searching Pinterest. So I'll see something, I'm like, oh, I like the way that wording is set up, but I'm not a fan of that saying. Or I'll read in a book or in my Bible and find a verse, and I'm like, oh, that's a good one to make into an SVG. So those are the types of things I look at. Like, because if you look at my Pinterest page, like, I have recipes for all kinds of recipes, but mainly keto now. But there's a lot of stuff that's not keto that I was looking at before. But let's see. The best type of vinyl to use for what? It kind of depends on the project. I've used HTV, I've used regular adhesive, I've also painted stuff. So it kind of just depends on what you're wanting to do. Your very tacky transfer tape, work with a holographic permanent vinyl. Yes, it should. I really haven't worked with the holographic Cricut vinyl very much. But I do know that when I bought the Cricut vinyl, that it was a holographic style, but it wasn't really holographic. It was more foily. It was like a duochrome or quadchrome vinyl. I used my regular transfer tape and had no issue with it. Typically, when you're needing a super strong transfer tape, it is much easier to import pictures into CorelDRAW and trace them out. It has a much more powerful tracing program in any art program versus what's in Cricut or Silhouette. But as far as transfer tape goes, unless it's like a gritty glitter, for the most part, regular transfer tape should work, just so you know. You shouldn't need a super tacky transfer tape to lift a holographic. I gotta block someone. Hold on, y'all. There we go. I think I need to set up a moderator for when we do these. Do we sell designs? Okay, so we will, like, if you need something custom done, we will always custom do it. For the most part, unless it is something copyrighted. Cricut transfer tape is not my favorite, which kind of sucks. I mean, and this is my honest opinion. You can take it or leave it. Cricut vinyl, for the most part, I have not had good luck with, whether it be adhesive or whether it be HTV. I just don't think it's that great. And considering that their machines are so good, I can't believe that their vinyl is so cruddy. But again, I come from a professional background, so I'm used to high grade materials. So for people who aren't experienced with it, Cricut seems fine. But again, it's not my favorite. What do I use to seal vinyl on a coffee cup? I don't seal vinyl. Typically, if I'm putting vinyl on a mug or on an aluminum cup, I leave it as is. If I ever want to change the vinyl out, I can peel it off and start again. B, it's an extra step, and if you're going to put something over it and you're putting your mouth on it, you have to make sure it's food safe. So kind of just depends. Do you want to know a good program to make a portrait into an SVG? When I'm making a photo into a SVG, I use Corel Draw. Let's see. Yes, Oracal 651 is a great vinyl. It is a good intermediate professional grade vinyl. Uh, 631 is not my favorite. 631 is a removable adhesive vinyl, and around here, we can't use removable adhesive. It's too hot, too humid. It doesn't last any time. Car graphic decals, big signs, we've used Oracal 651 for many, many, many years. I can look down the street and look at signs that have been done 10 years ago with the Oracal 651 that still look great. No, I don't have one into turning it into an SVG yet, but I can do a tutorial over that. I kind of try to mix it up on what type of videos I'm doing, so it's not all the same video over and over. To make a senior shirt with a senior picture on it, yes, we can do a picture shirt. Okay, so again, with the Brother Scan and Cut, so I use the computer program to run it. I'm not a fan of just using the machine by itself. So just to kind of let you know, I have to have a computer to install fonts and bring SVGs in. That's just the easiest way to do it. When do you know you're ready to sell your work? That's kind of up to you. I know a lot of people who started when they shouldn't have. But I mean, you have to kind of decide that for yourself. I mean, I have videos over when you're ready to start a business, setting it up, those kinds of things, and learning what type of jobs to do and what type not to. But you have to kind of judge that one for yourself. You have to realize that whenever you're making custom work for other people, and even if it's not custom work, a lot of times people don't want to wait a month to get a shirt if your child gets sick or things like that. So you have to kind of judge that for yourself and what you can and cannot take. I don't save it as a JPEG. Typically, I just export it as an SVG and I leave it as a CDR, which is the Corel version. It's of a SVG. The only time if I'm printing something, then I will save it as either a JPEG or a PDF, but typically not much. Typically 15 seconds is what you're going to want to heat your HTV at a minimum. And you want to be able to see the lines through the fabric, and that's how you know that your HTV is adhered good, at least with your basic colors. Now with your glitter, you cannot tell if it's adhered good unless you kind of rub your hands over it and it doesn't go anywhere. But if you know that your regular HTV is sticking at that, then your glitter should stick at the same. Yes, as I said, the Brother Scan and Cut, I don't know a lot about. Now, Lori, who works for me, who it's actually her Scan and Cut that I'm using, she watches, what is her name? I think it's Laura Faye Pham Balser, maybe. So I don't know anything about her, but that's who she watches to learn more about her Scan and Cut. So again, Brother Scan and Cut, I'm just kind of playing with. I'm glad you were able to make it to a live chat, Wanda. I enjoy doing these. To me, it kind of, sometimes I can be all over the place, but it gives us a chance to kind of get to know each other a little bit better. I feel like this is a little bit more honest interaction. Okay, so Rhonda, you said you're having a problem with your vinyl coming up when you wash your shirts. That's either pressure or it is how high you're heating it. What are you using to heat it with? And what temperature are you heating it at? Heat gun. Okay, so heat guns can be pretty pricey. A lot of times for my small stuff, I just use a hairdryer. That will get it to adhere without getting too much heat, because heat guns are extremely dangerous. But they sell some good ones over at Harbor Freight that aren't super duper expensive, which are a good starter heat gun. I think they're like $40. I could be wrong, but heat guns are something I typically, because they're dangerous, I don't use one very, very often unless I'm doing a big, big, big sign. Let's see. Foil quilt. I have not tried the foil quilt yet. I'm thinking about doing it. Okay, so that might be part of your problem. Is 300 degrees is a little low. Typically 315 to 330 is about a good point to be at, and your pressure may not be high enough. Check and see whenever you iron your vinyl on. You should do it with your regular HTV. Check and see if you can see the lines through it, and if you can, then you should easily be able to wash and dry your shirts without any problems. As long as your HTV is applied properly and it's a good HTV, it will outlast the life of this shirt. Hi, Tracy Ann from the UK. Let's see. What is the code to buy in the website? What do you mean? Do we have a coupon code going right now? Right now for my website, we do not have any coupon codes going on. We are going to do some fun stuff once we hit 100,000. So we're going to be doing lots of giveaways and some good sales. So be watching for that, which will be hopefully within the next month. We're almost at 97,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy to me. Like, I can't believe how supportive you guys are. Y'all are just absolutely amazing, the support I have in this community. Let's see. Hi from Kansas, Melliver. I hope I'm saying that right, but I'm probably not. I'm glad you've learned a lot from my videos. It really, thinking of becoming a patron. Well, patron is a great way to support the channel. As y'all guys know, that's part of the reason why I do have a few affiliate codes with like the Hungry JPEG, craft bundles, and Baubles and Bliss and Love SVG, because, and with the Patreon page, supplies, machines, those types of things can get pretty pricey. So it helps when y'all use them. But as I said before, it's kind of like whenever you purchase from me. I'm going to still do these tutorials, whether you purchase from me, whether you support me on Patreon, whether you use my codes or not. It just kind of helps along the way. Because, I mean, as you can see, it takes a lot of time, and between equipment and things like that it is pretty expensive. And whenever I started this, I never thought I would actually do well with YouTube, and I was kind of like iffy about it. But I actually really do enjoy doing YouTube. And do inkjet printer on glitter printable? No, you cannot use. I do not know of any inkjet printable HTV that you can use for home, but you can use sublimation. And sublimation is a different process. And I used to have a sublimation printer. We bought that one about 12 years ago. No, not that long ago, 10 years ago. But people didn't want to spend the money for sublimated products, but for the products back then. Sublimation and inkjet, anything that you're using that has inkjet, whether it be my direct garment or anything like that, you have to constantly use ink in an inkjet or your heads will mess up. And my sublimation printer, when we bought it, was pricey, and the heads are really pricey to replace on it. We just didn't use it enough. And honestly, we have to get the heads replaced before I could actually even use it again anyway. But it'd actually be cheaper because now the machines are not as expensive as they were to use. I have a review over the Power Press. It's from Amazon. They're about $200 so far. That, my Cricut Easy Press are the two affordable ones that I can recommend. Most people are not going to want to spend what my Hotronix Air Fusion cost, especially for home crafting. I mean, most people don't want to spend $5,000 on a heat press. And what I always like to say is, if I didn't have a direct garment printer, that is not the heat press that I would have. I wouldn't spend that much on it. But I have to be able to switch between pressures. That's why I needed an air that would take in, it will swap pressure. So I can have it at 35 pounds-feet of pressure whenever I'm doing drying the ink versus 85 pounds-feet of pressure for the whatchamadiddle, for drying the pre-treat. Let's see. Yes, as I said, there are printable sheets, just not a glitter printable sheet, Tracy, that you can use in your inkjet. And again, what I have found so far, and I've been testing a few different ones out, the washability is not that great. That's where I have problems. Well, the Cricut printable for car decals, that's different. Heat transfer. Okay, so lasers have a, what's it called? It's like a heating element in it. So it heats to cure the toner, because toner is powder. Well, whenever you're running like something that has to be heated to a shirt, it will adhere to the paper backing, and then it won't take and print correctly to be able to remove the backing to even be able to use it on the heat press. Yes, I have a video. No, I did not do the outline in Cricut. Cricut does not have an offset feature. Cricut does not have an outline feature. Whenever I do anything that has an outline, I design it in Corel Draw. Select Studio has it. Brother Scan and Cut has it. Cricut does not. Let's see. I do plan on doing some tutorials over rhinestone shirts. Let's see, my next Disney trip. Okay, so in May 17th and 18th, I will be at Disneyland with my mother-in-law, my daughter, and my sister-in-law. We are doing a girls' trip. My sister-in-law has an accounting conference in LA, so we tacked on an extra day, and we're going to Disneyland for 2 days, and we're also going to do Universal while we are there. We are going back to Disney World My husband and myself and my mother and father-in-law, we will be there from September 21st through September 28th for mine and my husband's 17th wedding anniversary. It is actually, other than like work trips going to sign shows and imprintable sportswear shows, it is the first trip my husband and myself have taken, other than one we went to Dallas to see some friends for a weekend, that we have actually gone away without our kids. If y'all don't know, my husband, my daughter is not mine by birth. I've been in her life since day one. So pretty much the entire time that my husband and myself have been together, we've had kids, and we were teenagers. We were 17 when she was born. And then Caden was born a month before I turned 19. And then we were married 3 months after he was born, which kind of like, my husband went into the Navy. So marriage was not one of those things that I ever really wanted to do. So whenever he went into the Navy, for Caden to, we either had to get married or we had to have some type of custody agreement. So we decided to go ahead and get married, and we did not have a real wedding. I mean, we had, like, we got married at the Justice of the Peace. So anyways, we got married, Justice of the Peace. Like, we had to get a waiver signed because, like, we got our marriage license and got married the same day, which you can get a waiver. Normally in Texas, it's a 72-hour waiting period. And yes, I do block people who are talking silly. I try to keep up with it, but not always. But so we got married the same day we got our marriage license. But I mean, the only reason I didn't believe in marriage, and this is kind of personal stuff, and you can listen to it or you don't have to, was because I grew up with a very cruddy childhood, and it was very hard. And, you know, I've seen couples break up and not, thank you, Lisa. But I grew up and didn't have a good, like, stable environment where marriage seemed like it was something I ever wanted to do. I am very happy that we did. But it wasn't easy. Whenever we got together, we were kids. And that's what I tell my kids is, it takes a lot of work. That's kind of how I felt, Tracy. And it's like everyone I knew broke up. I mean, they took, and I mean, it just wasn't ever stable. I do have a video kind of a little bit over what I grew up with, which was not great. But I have a great husband. My in-laws are absolutely amazing. So it took some time to get to that point. But it's like I tell my kids all the time, you know, with my husband, I can't imagine waking up next to someone else. He still is the person that I want to spend all my time with. So I think that means we're doing something right. And he is everything to me. And I don't talk about him a whole lot on here. I mean, and I post some pictures like on Instagram and Facebook, but that is my person. He is my biggest supporter. He is, just so y'all know, he's absolutely amazing. And, you know, just because some marriages don't work out, I mean, I guess it doesn't mean that you can't try again. But, you know, my kids have a extremely stable, normal home life, and you know, those are really my goals when I had kids, was I wanted to make sure that they had a good, loving, structured environment. I mean, I'm strict, don't get me wrong. My kids work. I mean, it is so important. I see too many kids today, especially with having employees and things like that, that do not understand the value of a dollar. And they don't understand their parents just give it to them. And I'm not going to be that parent. So hopefully that answers a little bit of stuff for you. Let's see, you and your husband were together 12 years before you got married. First marriage bad. I can understand that. And see, my husband and myself have actually known each other since fourth grade. We've known each other since we were 10 years old. And I'm so happy for you, Todd. It will work out beautifully for you this time. You just got to have hope. And a failed marriage, and this is my personal opinion, a failed marriage is not a kick on you or whoever you're with. It is a lot of times environment, things like that. I mean, whenever me and my husband got married, I told him, it was like, this is it. So, I mean, we got to make it work. And there were certain times where it was like, oh my goodness. I mean, because we were together as kids and growing up, that it was, you know, we got to work it out. And with my daughter not being mine by birth, it was always, well, if we're not together, then I won't be there. And so that definitely made me work harder at it, because other than my kids, I mean, my husband and my kid, they're all my world. And people don't know how to exactly. I mean, I know of so many couples that got together at our age and that were dated at the same time me and my husband did, who are no longer together. I mean, I don't know very many people that are together at the same point, like have been together anymore, that gets, you know, that are my age, that have been with their spouses since teenagers. Because people tell you now, well, you got to make yourself happy. You got to make yourself happy. But part of the thing is with marriage is you have to give 100%, whether that other person is giving their 100% or not. So that's my personal advice. Yeah, you don't have to get married. Don't, as I said, marriage is not the end all be all. See, that's always great, Georgia. Or Georgina. I mean, you don't, I mean, things work out the way that they're supposed to. But as I said, it's everybody's personal opinion, everybody's personal story, what they've been through, what you go through makes it what you do. I mean, it is what it is. And I can fight as hard as I want to make things work. But if my husband didn't put in the same effort, then, or he wanted out, then that doesn't mean that we would continue to stay together. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, it takes two. And again, it doesn't matter whether you're just committed or not. Just having someone to rely on, whether it be a friend, a family member. You don't have to be married or in a relationship to have a good support system. Yeah. Yep. See, as I said, it is what it is. You can't control life. Life will throw you curveballs. I mean, I can tell you that honestly from what I grew up with. I mean, as I said, my home life was not peachy. It was not great in the least little bit, but it made me who I am today. I mean, and I know, it's like I tell my husband, there are certain things, like, I know. And that's, I'm a great mom and a pretty good wife, at least most of the time. Sometimes I can be a butt, but who doesn't? I mean, everybody's got their issues. Yes, Disney makes me happy. And I mean, it took a long time to be able to afford to go through. I mean, as I said, we were babies when we got together, and vacations when my kids were little, it was diapers. I mean, we had all three of our kids before we were 24 years old. Let's see, aside from shirts, what's your favorite type of craft to make, design? I actually really enjoy doing a lot of painted canvases and things like that. I like to play with paint. That's one of my favorite things. I've done some beading work when I was younger, and I actually really like to cross stitch if there's a pattern. I can't just come up with it off the top of my head, but let's see. Just starting out vinyl projects, wondering if quality will be as good at using a home iron vinyl HD projects. Yes. Okay. So home iron. I have a cheap home iron. Done a tutorial with it from Best Buy. It was $10. The thing with home iron is pressure. Don't use it on polyester settings or silk settings. The highest wool, I think is wool. Maybe it's wool. Use it on cotton settings. That gets it hot enough. And take and place a towel on your floor. Put a cookie sheet in between it, because heat presses have metal, and that kind of helps heat the transfer from front to back, and applying a lot of pressure. I mean, you got to put your weight behind it, like your entire body weight. And I do have a video on how to do it with a home iron. It's harder, but it does work. And I mean, if you're just getting started, don't go and spend a bunch of money on a heat press if you're not even sure you like it. Play with it, and if you start to use it all the time, that's when you go invest in it. I mean, that's how I was. Like, hold on, I gotta take and block someone. Let's see. Have you tried making jewelry? Actually, I have. Fire Mountain Gems they sell like the Swarovski crystal beads and things like that. And that's where I used to buy it to make like beaded jewelry, not with this size beads. These are Amish bracelets I get at Baubles and Bliss, but the same kind of thing. But I really like Swarovski crystals for it. They're a little bit more expensive. Hi from Russia. That's so cool. But yeah, I love the sparkliness of it. Like, I love anything that has iridescence and things like that. That's part of the reason why I like glitter. Anything with sparkle. I love anything that's sparkle. Let's see. You said you like painting canvas. Is there a way to adhere a photo to canvas? I know. So there are ways to transfer photos to canvas. And there's ways to transfer it to wood, and I'm going to do a tutorial over that pretty soon. Yes, I have used the Cricut sticker paper, and my printer is a backfeed, so I don't think you have to have it. But I also like to take and laminate it, so that way it lasts a little bit longer. Yes. Okay. So I spoke on this before. I want to learn to sew. My mother-in-law can sew. I want to learn to knit and crochet. A part of the problem is I'm a lefty, and like, I need someone in front of me to show me how to like knit and crochet. But most people are right-handed, and like my mother-in-law is a lefty, but she does everything right-handed, and so she can't teach me, and I just get it all kinds of wonky. But those are some of the things I'd like to learn to do. Like, when my daughter was little, she was 2, I went and bought all the stuff to make this beautiful dress. I bought this really pretty fabric that had cherries on it. I was going to make her a dress. Couldn't cut a straight line to save my life, so I still have the fabric. But yeah, I mean, those are some of the things that I kind of like. But there are certain things that I have learned to do that I, like a few years ago, I really couldn't. Like makeup. If you look back to my original videos, whenever I first started doing it, my makeup was not that great. Look back to pictures. Whenever I started doing YouTube, that's when I started really watching makeup videos, and that's when I started to learn to apply it correctly. Yes, it's still, if your transfer sheet is separating from the vinyl, you can still definitely use it. You just take a squeegee and kind of squeegee it back down. But I don't know what brand of vinyl it is. Sometimes stuff like that can say that it can be iffy. But in like, if any of you watched my New Year's, what I was planning on doing for the New Year's, learning to do more with my hair, because I could pull it up into a ponytail and use a flat iron, and that's about it. And so I bought some hot rollers and have done that a few times, and I also bought a curling iron and have been learning to curl my hair. I mean, so I'm trying to get better about stuff, so it's just playing with it. Let's see. Yes, you can do vinyl. Whenever we did one of our sales around here, we did like the vellum balloons. Not vellum. What's the shiny stuff called? That is, you know, the mylar. I put adhesive on mylar balloons. You're about to make a quilt? Yeah, okay. I have a quilt project I bought like 3 years ago. It's like a beer quilt. Sounds funny. My husband likes to try different beers from all over the place, so I bought this pattern at the quilt shows to make him a lap quilt. Still haven't taken it out of the package, but I will get to it at one of these points. Does Caesar, HTV, and Oracal have an expiration date? Not really, but it can go bad, especially if it's in not a temperature controlled environment. The adhesive can get gummy. Yeah, you can always reheat vinyl. I mean, if it's coming up, you can always re-stick it back down. It's very, very easy to do. Yes, I'm going to do some heat transfer rhinestone designs. It depends on it, and I've got this stuff all together. I need to do some tutorials on how to create it. And we are going to be adding more products to our website. So we're going to be expanding into doing vlog and things like that. But we started to do, just kind of play with it. Joanne vinyl, the only vinyl that I've tried from Joanne so far is that holographic adhesive, and it's pretty. I mean, so far it does good. Can I do Michigan and Michigan state symbol in vinyl? I'm sure I could. I'm so glad that you love the t-shirt guide and the easy weave and wooden pick. Again, those are things that I sell because I have done it for so long. Love SVG is my favorite for free SVGs. So, okay, so we have been on this almost an hour today, so I need to let y'all go so I can hopefully get to the gym today. So we will see y'all tomorrow for a new video, and we will do another live next Tuesday. So hopefully I will see y'all all then. So see y'all later. Bye.